teachers. What's the craziest family law a child has randomly dropped on you? Kid, I was looking for pizza rolls in the freezer the other day and found lasagna in there. I guess we forgot him. Me. Him. Kid. Yeah. When he died, it was cold outside, so we couldn't bury him. Apparently it was a bearded dragon. That begs the question. Who was pizza rolls apostrophe. Couple of hamsters. 2 years ago, one of my 3rd graders started using a different last name on her papers. When I asked why, she said, "That's my mom's old last name. My dad cheated on her and just left us for the filthy whore." The student was normally so demure and sweet, and kindness is a huge thing at my school. But I just nodded, said I was sorry to hear that, and walked away. I wasn't going to wade into those waters, although I did give the guidance counselor a heads up. Sounds like the problem is the filthy dad, not the muse. Once a 4th grader pointed to another kid on the playground and said, "See that kid? He used to be my brother, but then his dad cheated on my mom, so he's not my brother anymore." Jesus. That unlocked a painful core memory. Robin and I were both in 4th grade and played together on the playground at school. She told everyone that she and I were going to be sisters when her mom married my dad. Except my parents were married and I didn't even know she knew my dad. But it turned out she knew a lot more than I did. It came out publicly that they were having an affair. Yep, I got the "your daddy loves me and my mummy more than you and your mummy" from my best friend when we were 7. I told my mum and she put a porch chair through their front window. That's heartbreaking. I can't imagine how you internalized that as a child. My mum told me that she wanted to abort me, but my dad persuaded her not to, and now he doesn't even talk to me. My dad was an OBGYN, and he says like half of pregnancies could be called accidents. Really, if your parents told you, it means they are assholes. My mom always told me I got pregnant on accident, but I had you on purpose. She was a teen mom, so there was no hiding it. My last was a surprise, not an accident. Mine is an accident, not a mistake. 4th grader, my mom and dad aren't together anymore because I took a video of my mom cheating and sent it to my dad. When parents are debating whether or not to give their young kids cell phones, I doubt this is the kind of repercussion they expect from their decision. To be fair, it is pretty to avoid that repercussion by, not cheating on your partner. Teachers of young children keep a lot of secrets. My colleague in kindergarten once had a little guy bring a dildo to school. He was waving it around saying, "It's a lightsaber. Zing, zing." I was a new teacher at the time and I asked, "What do you do when something like that happens?" She said, "I told him to take it home and sneak it back into his mom's room and he wouldn't get in trouble." I questioned that. Should we tell a kid to keep a secret from his parents? This teacher had been teaching for a long time. She explained her reasoning. "This boy's in kindergarten. His parents have a lot of years of parent-teacher conferences and concerts and whatnot coming up. And if his mother knows about this, I doubt we will ever see her at one of them." That's actually really insightful. Every young teacher ought to have a mentor like her. A 2nd grader, my mom said that once my dad learns a few things, he could come home, but right now he's in timeout for adults because he messed up really bad and the judge said he gets a big timeout. He doesn't have to stay in a chair though. He gets a room. I'd say that mom explained it quite well. Yeah, exactly. 1. Dad did something bad and is receiving punishment for it. Just like you and everyone else too. Dad is not a bad guy and still has a chance to learn to be a better person. 3. Don't worry. Dad isn't getting mistreated. He still has a room. That's pretty well explained. My son in kindergarten regularly talks at school about having a ghost dad and a regular dad. Long story, but ghost dad is a Japanese soldier from WWII. His real dad is alive and well. He includes ghost dad in drawings of his family in school. So hey Ms. Burke, if you're in here, I'd love to clear the air lol. The other day my toddler started telling me about her other mom. She told me the mom's name and her own different name and the name of a sibling. I think they were names she wouldn't have heard before, and she described their house. She also told me her other mom was actually brown, but looks white like me. We haven't really talked to her about race yet, she's 2 and it hasn't come up. So that was really interesting to me. You gotta see this. Children are reporting memories of previous lives. https://med. Virginia. edu/perceptual studies/our research/children who report memories of previous lives/ When my son was like 3 or 4, I don't remember exactly, he came up to me and said, I was a cosmonaut before I was born. I think I was, like, half listening. And I said, you were an astronaut. He got mad. No. I said a cosmonaut. Space was starting to become an obsession for him. So I went and looked at his books. Sure that one of them probably mentioned Soviet cosmonauts were the first in space. Nothing. No mention of cosmonauts in any of his books. It's not like the term comes up in our house. And we didn't watch much TV. And none of the movies we had would have mentioned it. Oh. And he and his sister are adamant that they were friends in the void before they were born to us. I'm not a teacher, but when my daughter was in preschool she told the teachers her dad couldn't pick her up that day because he was busy taking pictures of his butthole. He was having a colonoscopy. Turns out we should have just said he had a doctor's appointment instead of appeasing her demanding curiosity, haha. LMFAO. My mom smoked crack when she was pregnant with me and that's why she doesn't live with us. I babysat for a kid who spit out something similar one night and her mother was mortified. Apparently the kid's father didn't live with them because he tried to hide drugs in the kid's diaper as a toddler, but got caught. So the police took him away for a long time and the judge said he wasn't allowed to have anything to do with the kid anymore. Kid just randomly spouted this tidbit over a quiet dinner of steak and green beans. He must felt really safe with you, maybe not because he understands the severity of the situation, but because it felt like an important part of his life to share. Daka. My mom isn't wearing panties today. Proceeds to mime lifting a skirt. She said, look at this, Daniel. Dad. When I worked in a Montessori preschool, one of the boys was telling the other boys about what his dad was watching the boy was like, and then all the girls went like this, and he lifted up his shirt flashing the other boys, while shaking his chest. All the other boys at the table then followed suit, and copied the action. That was a real fun conversation to have with the dad and other parents at pickup. Lol, it's important to keep in mind, when it comes to kids that little ears have big mouths. If you don't want it repeated, don't say it around the littles, because they will come and tell everyone they can. Edited to at when we spoke with the father about his son's day and what he shared with his friends. The father explained the kid was supposed to be asleep in, but he had snuck out of bed and caught a part of something the dad was watching. He was not watching porno with his son. A bit of the other perspective. I got a call from the mom I nannied for after her son's parent-teacher conference in kindergarten. I had met the family when I taught pre-K and the boy was in our after-school program. Apparently he had said something in school that made the nuns question what type of Catholics the family truly were. When they asked mom and dad, mom started laughing hysterically and said that wasn't something they ever told their son. But they knew who did. Thankfully I wasn't in trouble, because the mom completely understood how I would say such a thing. The questionable religious lesson. The reason God gave people elbows was so you have somewhere to cough and sneeze. God gave them to you. Use them. Yes. I 100% said that to her child. More than once. And for the love of all that's right and holy, stop coughing on me. I'm stealing this. God gave you an elbow so you can sneeze into it. I say to an adult I don't want touching my things with their sneezy hands. One student told me her mom was getting a divorce. Not sure if she meant a divorce or an abortion or both. Another time we had a local dentist come by to speak to the kids about dental health. They passed out toothbrushes to the kids. One kid told me his mom uses them on her butt to get rid of the hair. He thought they were razors. He demonstrated how she shaves, thankfully fully clothed. He has to be mid-20s now. I wonder if he remembers doing that. Oh shit. I was this kid. My parents miscarried when I was in preschool. Fast forward a year to kindergarten, and I was chosen to push a doll stroller full of canned food from the classroom to the gymnasium for the school's food drive. I was grumbling on the way because I was worried my brother and his friends would see me and I'd never live it down. My teacher said that I might have to do similar with a little brother or sister one day, to which I responded, no, because the last time they told me that would happen, it died and daddy got a disectomy, apostrophe. I used to volunteer to read to kids who needed some extra adult one time at my children's primary school. One day a young lady very plainly explained to me how her parents explained to her that she would turn into a werewolf at 18. She was dead serious. I watched her grow up and graduate high school as a human. A little shocked for real. Well, were you with her on a full moon? It could happen. Actually, you have a solid point. I was a first grade math and reading tutor 20 years ago. I complimented Allison on her beautiful winter coat. She told me her mom walked into someone's house and got it for her. She told me that's how she got her boots too. I asked her if that happens a lot and she said, yeah, especially before we go visit daddy in prison. We are going this weekend. I looked at the teacher and she just kind of did a little nod and shrug and moved on. So anyway, seems mom didn't want daddy to worry about them while he was doing time. But yeah, they were not okay. Allison was genuinely the sweetest girl in the whole class. I wonder how she's doing now. I hope the universe is taking care of her. As a teacher's aide, I had a second grader steal a classmate's coat. She told mom that her teacher gave it to her. Her mom believed that. I asked the lead teacher. I think mom didn't want to think too hard about it. Said the lead teacher. My urban district gives kids coats all the time. All the time. Was talking about protected woodpeckers with second graders and on kid piped up their dad shot one at their house. The mother was horrified when she heard he had said that. Ha. My Phil is an old soldier from the British operations in Malaya and Borneo from the 1960s. Whilst at Monkey World a big orangutan swung into view and my hilariously mad old father-in-law excitedly shouted out, who I've shot. One of them had to explain to my kids and others within earshot that as a point man on patrol he was to shoot anything that moved and it was allowed. I don't think no. He was allowed to shoot anything that moved. Would cheer me up much. No, you're not getting it. We were out hunting man and the monkey was just collateral damage. I feel like my teachers throughout childhood could be in this thread. I feel worst for my middle school history teacher. My mom had gone crazy on me, screaming and hitting me in the school office that morning in front of staff. The staff sent me off to class and I told my mom to leave, but didn't tell me a damn thing about what happened. History was my last class of the day, so I came to my teacher sobbing, telling her I didn't want to go home BC. I was scared my mom would kill me that time. TBH, God bless that teacher. She was a saint. Immediately called the office and demanded to know what was being done about it and told them she wasn't going to be sending me home with my mother. May I ask what happened after that and how you're doing now? It ain't pretty, but sure. The office had apparently called the cops after they sent me off to class. My mom, I think, left of her own volition, but she was later Baker acted, Florida thing where you can be arrested and held for psychiatric evaluation for minimum 72 hours if you're a danger at yourself or others. And my grandparents, who I had barely had contact with in 6+ years, came to get me from school. Ended up being housed with my aunt, who I actually hadn't heard from or seen at all in 8 years, while DCF investigated. In relative foster care, I saw my mom one more time as a supervised visitation in a gross, mildew DCF visitation room with a two-way mirror. She offed herself a week later, and I ended up living with the aunt and her husband, and being horribly abused by them until 16, when I begged my grandparents to let me live with them. TBH. I still blame myself for my mom's death and kinda feel the abuse from the aunt and uncle was like some kinda penance. IDK. Like my mom was awful, but at least she abused me BC. She was mentally ill, I guess, rather than straight up evil. It's a pretty complicated tangle of feelings that I ignore most days. I still keep in contact at least once a year with that teacher, though, and she taught me for 2 more years before I went to high school. She was one of the first adults I actually believe gave a rest and the reason I believe there's good in the world. As for now, TBH, I've had a rest go of it, but I'm still kicking. Somehow, I have my own life, some friends, some pets, and avoid most of my family by choice. I have problems and I deal with them, but somehow I've avoided drugs and alcoholism, to the surprise of everyone tbh, and I manage okay. TBH, if I didn't have horrible chronic health issues I'd probably be doing fine. The depression is normal to me now, like a really annoying friend you can't get rid of. Not from the child, but the parents literally told me straight up that they don't set expectations and consequences for their kids because they tried that with their oldest and he became overwhelmed, turned to drugs, and is in prison now. Another gem from that meeting was we don't get on the kids for their grades. We know they are smart enough to be okay in life. Meanwhile, one of them was in 9th grade and couldn't spell or read and failed every test in my class. They are convinced he is going to be a lawyer. This reminds me of my parents in a way. I grew up in an apartment building and my parents pushed us to get us in school when we were very young. Then, this woman in her early 20s moved in who was with an outpatient mental health facility. She had a nervous breakdown while studying at a prestigious college and completely lost her mind. She acted very erratic and just not well. After that, they told us bees are okay and never pressured us with school. Honestly, good on them for realizing they might be making a mistake and backing off. I agree. They wanted the best for us and for us to achieve what they couldn't, which is why they pushed us, but then saw a possible outcome and backed off perfectionism. I'm grateful for them. Me and my sister hid in the dryer and be really quiet because someone came inside our house with a gun. She was a kindergartner and her uncle is now in jail. My older son is this age. I can't even imagine. They are still babies at this point. Open bracket. Mummy is sleeping in a different room because it isn't dad's baby in her tummy. OMG, is this real? Jesus. Imagine explaining this to your kid. It sure is. I think likely she overheard them fighting rather than being told directly. It was also a private tutoring lesson at their house, so that was awkward. I was a substitute teacher a while back and I was saying something about dangerous jobs and this 6th grader goes, my mom has a dangerous job. I was like, oh, is she a firefighter or something? Without any hesitation she says no, she's a whore. Apostrophe. Not wrong. Being a full service sex worker is definitely more dangerous than being a firefighter.